and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where last time we began the trial for the third case of the game, as they will be continuing the trial for the third case of the game, featuring our harebrained client. I'm pretty sure I made that exact joke last time, but I made it again because it didn't get any less funny since then, because his name is literally Harebrained. Anyway, let's keep going. October 23rd, 10:44 a.m., the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Speak of the devil, Mr. Naruhodo. What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis, my amazing hypothesis. You're picking holes in it from the start. Oh yeah, gentle reminder. This guy's trying to kill himself, essentially. Not literally speaking, of course. But he's digging his own grave, essentially, in the sense that we found a way for him to potentially be innocent, and he's like, actually, nah. There's no way that's true. It's like, buddy, what are you doing? Are you aware of what team you're on here? And now he's getting mad at us for proving his innocence. Buddy, your amazing hypothesis isn't gonna mean diddly-do if you get sent to prison for the rest of your life or sentenced to death. Try to wrap your little harebrained head around that for me. Sorry about that. But you promised me. You said you'd prove that dreaded explosion was an accident, not murder. Yeah, it's getting pretty hard to do that when you keep talking. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands, but all you've done so far is try to undermine me. You've been doing that job all by yourself, buddy. You're the one who's been undermining yourself. I did make you a promise, you're right. I said that I believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. But I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, a man died as a consequence, didn't he? Ow. Oh no! I don't quite get this guy. This guy's... I mean, I get that his name is literally Harebrained, but I mean, come on. You're right, you're so right, it's all my fault, and I have no right to blame you for my failures. I'm a disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, I might be a little over the top. And while we're on the subject, what about Barrack? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer, you mean? He's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait, he's 3, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore? Glad that's cleared up. Can I double check something with you? Yes, what? The machine and demonstration you prepared, they were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume? There was no trickery involved? I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with the firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe it. That's not an answer to me. That wasn't the question I asked. No, that wasn't an answer. No, I don't think you understand. He didn't answer the question. I asked, was there any trickery involved? And then he said, I drew the plans myself, and I believe that science is the only future, and therefore you must believe I'm telling the truth. You didn't actually answer. I asked him point blank, did you use any magician trickery here? Don't accept that wibbly-wobbly evasive answer. No.
Counsel, defendant. The prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court's about to be in session again. Make your way into the courtroom, please.
It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. But on the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. A practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor of the Great Exhibition is quite impossible. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's been pretty clear from the beginning that he didn't actually teleport away. Although, if... There's always that slim chance they might try to go that route, in which case, please don't. I'm pretty confident that they're not going to go that route. So really, what should I be trying to prove here? October 23rd, 11 o'clock a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Alrighty, let's get this show on the road. Also, some people have mentioned in comments that the science guy isn't actually that helpful to this case, so... That's good to know, because I'm getting very sick and tired of the jury always having that one guy who's like, actually, I know everything that happened, or actually, I know all about this one specific thing that will literally define the outcome of this case. So, I'm happy to hear that that's not going to happen this time. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counselors for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? The prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zeeks, I believe these next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed they did, and as luck would have it, one of them is a police detective, so the testimony we are about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Oh, can it now? Oh, can it now? You were going to hear testimony from a police detective, and therefore you think that makes it highly reliable. Oh boy, howdy. Oh boy, howdy. Of course, perfect, a detective of all people. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at the time, the accused.
Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So, bring forth your witnesses now.
Bailiff, show the witnesses in. The witnesses whose proximity to the incident on the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. It's still kind of strange that the one who's ordering the bailiffs... Oh my dear god. Hey, Gina! Alright, I accept. I accept this witness. I take back what I said earlier. I accept this detective on the stand. Also, you look like... You look like a living hot air balloon.
My name is Balthazar Loon. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the experimento stage.
Oh god, don't make me do a German accent. There's a reason that I deliberately avoided doing one for Francisco on comments, because I can't. There's no way. I couldn't even... If I tried, it'd be an embarrassment, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that name.
My name is Willem Gulstrich Sigismund Ornstein. I have come to seize the great exhibition on the way from my home in Bohemia.
Okay. I'm very rich. Thanks. Thanks for that little tidbit there. Oh, great. Now for this voice. I really like you as a character, but good God almighty, why did I have to give you such a crap voice? Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Alex Holmes agrees. A great ace attorney and a great detective. An unstoppable team. I was on security duty at the exhibition, and I got to go up one of the balloons. It was amazing. Gina. Again. But she did mention that she'd seen the disaster from up in a balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying near the public experimentation stage when the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above.
You make it sound like they were in the cloud. It was only out to circa 60 feet, very low.
Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then.
Thank you for your introductions. Now, you will give your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage.
Okay. I retract my former statement. Gina's awesome. I allow an exception to what I said earlier in regards to specifically Gina and Gina alone. The view from 60 feet up.
It was an incident terribly. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged.
Yes, that's what you're concerned about. The fact that your balloons weren't damaged. There's a huge bang from the stage, and the next second another bang in the sky beside us. Could you be any more vague?
And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. The cage, it fell from the sky like a stone and crashed into the crystal tower.
I didn't get a good look into the side of the cage, but never went near it after it crashed into the tower. Okay, then. Great, you gave me diddly-do information, so now I need to press for more.
A most extraordinary collective account, I must say.
Could I just clarify something? I need to clarify a lot of things. There's a detail in the witness assessment that I've not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, that there were 2 explosions? More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called bird cage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, the second explosion occurred directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. Yeah, that's what I assumed that the first explosion was the machine getting offset, and the second one was actually shattering through the crystal tower. I figured that. I didn't even think to mention that because my brain is immediately connected. Ah, yes, one for the machine, one for the crystal tower. I didn't even stop to think that was an issue that needed highlighting.
I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes vis a person inside. The blast was so hot I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide.
You know, I think you might have if your family line's still around in about 100 years from now, I think you might have a spot in the Berry Big Circus, the guy over there on the left. I said I have lots of money. Thanks, I got that.
Precisely who is this curious infant?
I'm told he is a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal unnoticed into the Great Exhibition.
Ja, I'm here in London on a sightseeing trip to visit my elementary school.
We will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Okay then. Do we really need that? If he's here, if the writers put him here, then obviously they think we need him here. So,
when I remove my mask, this is what I look like.
Ah, yes, I see your delightful face, I'm sure.
Ja, everybody says so.
Great disguise, then. The point is the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated, and furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the Crystal Tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused who was with Mr. Assman on the stage could possibly have committed the murder.
Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. So, the defense's cross-examination now, please.
Yes, my lord. Alright, step one. I'm gonna need you to be real specific. Not you, I don't think, or you, I don't think, don't think you're gonna have any useful things to tell us. Details, please. So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air?
Yup, isn't it amazing what the detective gets to do here? I'm telling you, Otto, being a lawyer is a mug's game. You should join the force so we can go flying together.
You know me so well. Yes, well, anyway, could you tell us exactly what you saw, do you think?
Everything, we saw everything, because we were...
I always hate it when you ask, like, hey, what'd you like about this thing, or what'd you hate about this thing, and then they say everything. It's like, that's not useful. I need more specifics. I need more specifics than just saying everything. I didn't want to open that up, okay.
That dodgy cove climbing into that cage, and that dodgy professor pulling all them levers. And that's what happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared just like that.
You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by electricity, I believe.
I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang right in my ear. I looked around, and there was a huge great fireball right next to us in the sky.
Hey there, buddy. Excuse me. Notice something? Master Goss, does your memory of the day differ?
My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time...
By the way, I'm acknowledging, this is why I didn't want to do a German accent when I went, because I know some people were really unhappy with my Franziska von Karma voice, because she is supposed to have a German accent, but I didn't give her one, just because I know I cannot do a German accent with any level of fidelity whatsoever. So this is why I didn't, when I did that game, this is why I didn't do it. So, yeah, please let me know how crap my German accent is, so I can never do this ever again. Ah, yes, what was it again?
William Gottfried Siegmann Orpstein.
Just the full names, then? The point is, you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina's Lestrade's last remark, perhaps?
Oh, I get right, Otto. It's Inspector Lestrade.
Yeah, why does everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment?
That is not what I saw.
Oh?
Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloons, that is true. But I'm sure... Which is what I said, isn't it? 1 minute there was nothing there, then the next a massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school says that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable.
Oh, but he means Waddle to be so full of joy. How many balloons? What happened to the other balloons? Are they all floating up into the ceiling? How do you keep losing these balloons?
Just before the second explosion happened next to our balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying into the sky.
Oh, a green balloon, you say? A green balloon, you say? How interesting. Hey, remember when that guy earlier said that his balloons weren't damaged? You, sure about that one, buddy? A green balloon?
Eh? You what, mate? I never saw nothing like that. Well, I did. I saw it, and you can't say I didn't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. My testimony is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it's lies. That is not allowed.
Oh, dear God. Great. You've killed Gina.
Playing the bleeding world card, are ya? Typical.
Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police.
In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interests of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia.
Okay. Great green balloon, next was at the time. Yeah, so now that we know that, can I probably could have done this from the beginning. Well, maybe. I wonder if I could have presented this piece of evidence from the beginning. Because I could have guessed this, but I didn't know for sure until just now, so I don't know. Either way, are you sure that your balloons weren't damaged? Because I seem to have some evidence suggesting the contrary. Mr. Blue, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged.
See, that is correct. If they had been caught in the explosions, they would have been terrible.
I wonder if you might know what this is?
I think it may be, see, part of the balloon, a burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope.
Sorry, the envelope?
Pardon, that is the large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It is made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip when you are in the sky.
Just as I thought. This piece of cloth was found at the experimentation stage. In other words, as Mr. Galtz testified, a green balloon did indeed explode that day.
Yeah.
If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Loon, then your statement that they are all undamaged clearly contradicts the evidence!
No!
Oh, great. Is it the more balloons we pop, the more damage is dealt to him?
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion on the stage, the point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. An unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts.
This I cannot accept.
Why not, Mr. Loon?
You are suggesting that I am a liar. That person didn't die in a balloon incident.
There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Loon. The victim was the sole fatality that day.
That's right, I prove it. Balthazar Loon is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is not possible.
You're saying it's impossible? Why?
This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day.
Well, when your witnesses are coming from the balloons, I think it's kind of important that we hear them out, don't you think? But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord! The defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Loon.
I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up the issue of this phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloons you operated at the exhibition.
Grazie, my lord.
Alrighty then. Round 2. Electric Boogaloo. I gotta say, when I first met Gina, wasn't a big fan of her. Kind of like, you're just... I gave her a really obnoxious voice, expecting that she would be a one-and-done character. And then it turns out she's, like, imperative to the whole duology, apparently, so... You know, screw me, am I right? I made a big blunder with that voice, but you know what? She's kind of growing on me. She wasn't a big fan initially, but over time, she's kind of growing on me. Anyway.
As I said, Balthazar Loon is no liar. Every balloon I had in the sky landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. If they fell to the ground in an explosion, what a catastrophe! But you can't get away from the fact that I burnt a bit of the cloth was found on the scene, can you? The coppers of the yard reckon it was probably some debris thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupid old ragazzo was mistaken. The balloons had the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway.
Wow, I need you to be more specific. I need more details than what you're telling me. You aren't giving me anything I can use.
So your assertion is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you?
See, exactamente, if he even saw a balloon in the first place. I don't like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to use the pseudoland of Bohemia. If you attack us, then we will fight back. It will be war, all at war.
Oh, great. The petulant child is telling you that he's going to war. Ooh, another he said this kid just I was about to say this kid went from I'm declaring war on you to hey, can I buy a balloon from you, please? I'd say what the. Alrighty then. Mr. Loon certainly doesn't appear to be lying, but that doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here.
If the defense is unable to find fault with the witness's statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend.
The situation has clearly changed now. I have to get to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes.
Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witness.
Okay, well, as per usual, we know nothing, so I need to know something. I require more details than what you've already told me about your balloons, because you've told me diddly-do so far. You mean the color is wrong?
See, signor, I do not have any green balloons in my warehouse.
And yet, a piece of green cloth was found at the scene and it's unmistakably from a balloon.
Well, I don't know how that can be.
For the sake of argument, let's say that a green balloon did explode above the stage. You couldn't therefore conclude that it happened on the day in question.
Why not?
There have been recreational balloon flights over Hyde Park operating from before the Great Exhibition. One could have exploded on some earlier date. Unfortunate, as I'm sure you'd agree.
I don't know how we... wouldn't there be records of that if that had actually happened? You believe it may have been from some earlier balloon accident that predates the exhibition?
See, exactamente. As the signal says, it's not from one of my balloons.
Oh, hey. The petulant toddler is speaking again. Is something wrong, Mr. Gotts?
It's Master William Gottfried Sigismund Ormstein.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Ja, something is very wrong. I know what I saw. There was a green balloon there. I swear it. I swear all over Bohemia. You can speak as much as bad language as you like, but it changes nothing.
Another... where do you keep putting all these damn balloons? Are you literally just letting go as they float up into the ceiling? Why does he keep giving you balloons? How does he even... I feel like he'd be out of balloons by now, gotta be honest here.
If you don't have evidence, Ragazzo, then I must tell your parents to punish you, eh?
Perhaps we'll let the judge decide, I think he said. Yeah.
Evidence? What is this evidence?
To give a simple example, young man. A photograph, for instance. Some tangible proof of what you claim.
But why didn't you say so sooner?
I have to photograph it. Maybe we should have given him the crash course on how courts work before we brought him to the witness stand.
Good gracious.
What?
I had not been up in a balloon for a little while, so I was very excited.
Yep, so I must have been not paying attention, because at that time I actually did see the balloon get floated up into the ceiling, okay. You gotta take more care of your balloons, kid.
I took lots and lots of photographs of the Crystal Tower, of the Bohemian exhibit, of the streets of London, of the heart in the cellar, of the balloon.
And the instantaneous kinesis experiment, did you take a picture of that?
Yeah, one picture.
Really? You did take one?
But all I wanted was a ride in a balloon. I was not interested in bombing experiments.
Never mind that, can you show us that photograph?
Of course, and then you will see. You will see that I am not lying, that I really did see a green balloon.
Oh my dear, wait. That was on screen for like half a second, hold on.
Well, I see you are too shocked to speak.
Yes, I think shocked is indeed the word, young man.
Another, oh my, swear to God.
Sure, perhaps you cannot see that it was a green balloon from this photograph, but that is not my fault. That is the fault of the stupid person who made the camera.
Okay. So, interestingly enough, the first thought to come to my head wasn't that this picture's in black and white. Like, obviously I noticed it because you can't not notice that the picture's in black and white. But I saw something, is it in the court record yet, or can I not actually, can I look at it further? No, it's not, god damn it, it's not here yet. So, there's something else that I noticed there that's a lot more interesting. And, that's very, okay, I get it, I got it, okay. So, we'll look again when we actually see the photo, but the first thing that my eyes were drawn toward wasn't the balloon itself, which I know sounds really odd, since that was the whole point of why the photo was shown, but I was actually more concerned with a streak of light that was going across the center, and like it was shooting up toward the balloon. It was only after that I actually stopped thinking like, alright, this photo's in black and white, so this is useless. But it didn't even matter that it's useless because what's far more interesting is the fact that there was this, actually, we'll just keep talking until we actually get the photo into the court record so I can examine it further. Yeah, whatever, just add it to the, there we go, okay, it's added to the court record as evidence, great, okay. It's not my fault, it's your fault, yeah, you said that already. Well, never mind, I'm sure you have plenty of wonderful stuff and memories to take home with you. In any case, when exactly did you take that photograph?
Well, it was on the day of the big explosion.
You don't say.
Then I pressed the shutter release, there was this very loud bang. And a hot wind rushed over my face.
That means this photograph was taken a split second before the explosion occurred.
Well, if you ask me, this black and white photograph changes nothing. I cannot give the flying fig.
Lovely language you've picked up. Okay. As I thought, this one's testimony doesn't quite add up. The young Bohemian boy claims to have seen another fourth balloon, but Mr. Loom... Yeah, okay, this is just after the testimony. Okay, whatever. Okay. So, let me actually... Now I can actually talk about what I was trying to say earlier. So, okay. The photos... I did it again. Okay. The first thing that I saw wasn't the balloon itself. I know that this should have been what I saw first, because that was the main point. But my bigger concern... Aside from the fact that there's nobody in this balloon... Which is very interesting... In fact, that's what it is. That's what it is. Okay. Now I get it. Okay, so this line right here is from the crossbow, right? Because we have the crossbow in our core record, and we didn't know what it was for, but it was found behind it. It was a weapon found hidden behind a tree under the experimentation stage of the exhibition grounds. So there's a folding crossbow, which would seem to make perfect sense if it were used, because that looks like something is being shot up from the ground towards the balloon. So that's actually really smart. Okay. So crossbows don't use gunpowder. So when you fire it, it's not gonna make a sound, especially in a crowded area where no one's gonna be paying attention to you. Without the gunpowder to facilitate the loud noise, you're not gonna hear a thing when this crossbow goes off. So you take the crossbow, fire it up into the sky towards a hot air balloon filled with hydrogen, especially because I think it looks like it's a flame arrow. So if the arrow was on fire, shoot a flame arrow into a hot air balloon loaded with hydrogen that has no people in it, so none of the people in the hot air balloon would be of any concern whatsoever, and you time it so that it goes off the instant that the machine malfunctions and fire and shoots towards the crystal tower. Let's say there was something such as, I don't know, maybe another cage with a man inside. You pop the balloon, the cage comes flying out and crashing into the crystal tower, thus explaining how the quote-unquote instantaneous kinesis was able to work properly. Yes! There we go! Now we're back. Now we're back into the swing of things, because we have been, okay. It feels like it's been a long time since we've had one of these types of these types of moments where all the pieces come together into a satisfying whole. Because the last case did not do that. First case kinda. The last case did not, but this, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're really getting somewhere. Okay, here we go. The pieces are all coming together, friends. Oh, this is awesome. Okay, so all three of your balloons are carrying passengers. Well, what about this other balloon that wasn't carrying any passengers? Unfortunately, the photograph Master Gotts took can't tell us the color of the balloon, but it can tell us something else. Something crucially important. What? It shows that the pictured balloon wasn't carrying any passengers. Ah, my goodness, you're right. But surely all the balloons would have been carrying passengers. There would be no sense in it otherwise. See! Therefore pleasure for seeing the view. My balloon's only fire with passengers. Which tells us that the pictured balloon isn't one of them. So when the incident occurred that day, there was a fourth balloon in the skies above the experimentation stage! The mysterious green balloon! I know nothing! I can tell you one thing. It's this balloon was not carrying passengers and it was not one of mine! That only actually... His balloon is pulsating on his head. That only helps my case, actually.
There are legal tradesmen everywhere you care to look. Clearly, one such entrepreneur decided to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the Great Exhibition, and managed to operate balloon flights on Mr. Loon's patch without him realizing.
See, the competition, trying to steal my profits. I did not notice, because of the experimento that went wrong on the stage.
This fourth balloon exploded at the very same moment that Mr. Aston was beamed from the stage below.
Right, so them scraps that fell to the ground after and left them scorch marks, they didn't come from the stage at all. There was bits of the balloon raining down, because no one was in it, it didn't get no attention. A mysterious fourth balloon carrying no passengers, silently floating over the experimentation stage.
This photograph shows us nothing more. A stray balloon carrying no one and operated by some rogue traitor. Clearly it has nothing to do with the case.
It rather disillusioned me, I must say.
The court has seen sufficient evidence and heard ample testimony already. The prosecution calls for this trial to be concluded.
Yeah, well, that ain't gonna happen, Captain. That ain't gonna happen, Captain. Also, we haven't had any summation examinations yet. Really? Have we really got to the truth yet? No, I can't let this opportunity slip away. The jurors' minds are made up and not in our favor. What else can this photograph tell us? Is there nothing more we can learn from it? Oh, there's more, right? Oh, there's a whole lot more, alright. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, wait! Please don't give your decision yet. The photograph from Master Gotts may well be hiding one more vital clue. What's that? Okay, maybe get away from the camera, buddy.
We're well past the point of mere possibilities. It's time for definitives now, so tell the court. What exactly does this alleged clue in the photograph prove the cause of the explosion, baby?
We can reasonably assume that the picture balloon was destroyed in the searing heat of the explosion.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, it was not my fault.
Evidently, because the bird cage from the kinesis machine materialized in the sky where it had been flying. And the balloon being filled with flammable hydrogen, instantly and explosively ignited.
No, that's not what happened.
What?
It would appear that this photograph requires closer examination.
Counsel for the defense, you will highlight the location of this alleged clue in the photograph for the court.
Of course, my lord. If you look closely, it's plain enough to see, and what's shown is linked to another piece of evidence we have, in a way, that leads to an unbelievable conclusion. The clue that heavily suggests the real reason the balloon exploded is... Please accept this pixel-perfect presentation of the streaming line. The timing of this photograph can only be described as miraculous. If you look, you'll notice there's a bright white line that appears to point directly at the balloon.
Most likely a ray of light causing incidentally on the film. I'm afraid I can see nothing of the sort.
If you look with a magnifying glass, my lord, it becomes clear what the nature of this bright line really is.
Goodness, what is that?
Undeniably some flash of light, yes? Oh, golly, do you think it might be lightning? But it couldn't have been a finer day. I believe maybe looking at fire. A bolt of fire headed straight for the balloon like an arrow.
Indeed, even to my aging eyes, it would appear to be a flame of some sort. My word, are you suggesting this flame struck the hydrogen gas that filled the balloon? That's absurd. The balloon would have been 60 feet above the ground at the time. No flame could possibly reach such a height.
It would if it was a flaming arrow. It's being shot out of a crossbow that we found at the scene of the crime. Actually, a particular piece of evidence found at the scene reveals how that is exactly what happened.
What evidence?
The crossbow.
If such evidence exists, counsel, then for goodness sake, present it, man.
Which evidence explains it? The crossbow.
Take that!
This was found hidden at the foot of a small ornamental tree near the scene.
Good lord, is that a crossbow?
An arrow dipped in oil instead of light could have been shot from this weapon, sending a flaming arrow straight into the hydrogen-filled balloon.
Are you suggesting that crossbow was used to deliberately...
Blimey, you're right! That streak of light in the field looks just like an arrow! Then, the explosion of the balloon, it was...
Very likely the result of a flaming arrow from this crossbow igniting the hydrogen gas inside it!
No!
Is that the first time we've seen him take damage? Also, the balloon man replenished his balloon supply.
Order, counsel, this is an extraordinary supposition.
If the aim was to cause the balloon to explode, the shooter could have used a gun, of course. However, there's an obvious reason why that would have been out of the question.
The noise of the discharge, of course.
That's right. By using a crossbow, the projectile could be fired at the balloon silently.
Well, yeah, if someone had shot a gun off at the exhibition grounds, it would have caused a real panic. But with the big explosion, there was very big panic anyway, no?
I don't like this. I should be pleased to have found a plausible new explanation for all this, but something feels wrong.
Do you understand the implications of what you're saying, my Nipponese friend?
If a flaming arrow did indeed hit the balloon, then obviously it would have exploded, and if the birdcage appeared from the cloud of smoke that ensued...
What? Wait a minute. What are you really saying here? I don't get it. Was the birdcage being up into the sky after all, or what?
My goodness me.
Now I understand. That's what this sinking feeling is about. I think there's a good chance that the birdcage was actually concealed inside the balloon all along.
What? Did I just hear that correctly, counsel?
Yes, you did. There's no going back now. The horse has bolted. Ride like the wind, Bullseye. Let's assume, as I said, that the birdcage was hidden inside the green balloon from the start. On stage, when the experiment was started, the birdcage and the instantaneous kinesis machine disappeared in a cloud of smoke. At that moment, the flaming arrow was fired from the ground, causing the green balloon to explode and drawing the attention of the spectators to the sky above their heads. From amid the smoke, the hidden birdcage then appeared to fall down and crash into the crystal tower. Exactly like we said. I think you'll all agree it's entirely plausible that what I've just described is the real truth behind the miraculous experiment carried out that day.
Good grief.
Now we're getting somewhere.
This is ludicrous. What you've described is no science experiment. It's child's play, a contemptible display of stage magic.
And yet entirely plausible. Both Mr. Shermans and Iris said that the experiment was a scientific impossibility. Well, yeah, obviously we're talking about teleportation here. In which case, this is the only way to explain what happened that day.
And in any case, the victim's body was found inside the birdcage in the crystal tower. If the instantaneous kinesis didn't take place, how do you explain that?
Well, there is a whole museum of wax that's available.
If I may put in a word as a man of magic myself, such apparent discrepancies can easily be explained by some simple deception.
Observer number 3.
All that would be needed is a doppelganger, someone who looked very similar to the victim, Mr. Assman, and having this other man appear on stage to front the show as a body double.
Yes, of course, so in fact, Mr. Aspen must have been inside the birdcage that was concealed inside the balloon right from the start.
That balloon would have been filled with hydrogen. Anything hidden inside it would have been scattered to the four winds when it exploded. No one would ever have embarked on such a risky venture.
Not necessarily. The explosive force of the balloon gas would very much depend upon the mixed ratio. Driven number 4. Flying balloons are rarely filled with pure hydrogen, but a mixture of other gases such as helium as well. Helium on its own doesn't explode, but by controlling the gas mixture ratio, the explosive force can be altered.
The mixture ratio?
Obviously, the victim's body would have suffered some burns. That would be unavoidable. But not to such an extent as to render this whole scene charade impossible.
I think it's far more likely that the Wax Museum is going to be involved since they have literal body doubles there. So everything that happened can be explained, logically and scientifically, as if to say the two are somehow not intrinsically linked to one another. The explosion that engulfed the stage at the start of the experiment was no accident. It was all part of an elaborate deception to make it appear that the instantaneous kinesis had occurred. Well, goodness me. And if we accept that this is what happened, it means that the victim, Mr. Aspen, was never present on the public experimentation stage to begin with. In short, he couldn't have been killed by the defendant who was on stage in full view the entire time! Oh! Of course, this doesn't solve everything because we still have like 1,000 questions here, but we're getting somewhere at least. This will be very hard for the prosecution to counter. Lord Van Zies can't credibly maintain that Professor Headbrain is a suspect now. Oh, now what? Let me guess, the showman's gonna come bursting in being like, no, god damn it, no, shut up right now. I decline. We're gonna do a rise from the ashes. I asked that Lena Sky, everything she says be disavowed because the defense does not uphold the claims that my client is about to make.
Mr. Narhoda, I appreciate your efforts, thank you. Professor? But you can stop now. Just keep your mouth shut, please.
Buddy, I know it's really hard for you to wrap your head around this, but you are going to prison or going to be sentenced to death if what I said isn't true. I know you really want to keep the fact that you just lied to everyone with your little magic show under wraps. I get that, but trust me, the consequences for you being convicted of murder or even involuntary manslaughter will be a lot worse than if you're exposed for lying about your little magic show. I promise you, you don't want to go down the first road. Trust me.
What's all this about, Mr. Headbrain?
The defense is not... Whatever he says, the defense does not acknowledge it. The defense is not saying by what he says.
I, Albert Headbrain, hereby confess that it was me who said Mr. Odie Aspen...
why are you so obsessed with this? You're gonna... This man is the bane of my existence.
Yes, it was me, with my faithful friend and partner, Andrew the Screwdriver.
What are you doing? You absolute cheesecake! What the... This man...
Order! Defendant, explain this sudden confession.
No, the defense is not saying by what he says. Professor Hairbrain, what are you talking about?
It's what I said all along. I must protect my hypothesis and my precious machine.
Oh my god, no one cares! No one cares! Literally no one cares! Your life is a lot more valuable than some stupid machine.
You stand there and claim it was all a trick and an elaborate prank, but where's your proof?
What do you mean? We have the crossbow in the cloth. What are you talking about?
You'd have to examine the machine if you wanted to prove it, but then it would be all over. My beautiful hypothesis would be laid bare. I mean, the indignity of it.
It's clear that you drew the plans for the experiment, but you didn't actually build it. It's quite conceivable that you were duped, Professor, if you just let me...
Barrack.
Yes?
I'll cooperate. I'll do whatever you say. I swear it. So please, ensure that special dispensation for scientific equipment acts is adhered to and protect my creation.
What is wrong with you? Are we sure he didn't concoct or suffer from brain damage as a result of the explosion? Because I don't think he's thinking straight. No, actually, let me amend that. He's not thinking straight.
Pray forgive the discourtesy of filling my hollowed chalice at this critical juncture. Here's to my learned Nipponese friend.
What?
And his upcoming attempt to clarify the defense's position in light of the accused's confession. Do you intend to formally assert that the experiment was nothing more than a conjuring trick? Because the moment you do, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act that protects the professor's invention will cease to apply. The prosecution will then demand a rigorous examination of the machinery involved in order to establish the truth.
Do it! Great, do it!
However, if you acknowledge...
Didn't get to read all that. No, stop. Stop it! Let me open the goddamn history. Can I please open the chat log? Thank you.
If you acknowledge that the machine is genuine and instrumental in the victim's murder, any chance of investigating will be crushed, and the confidentiality of the professor's hypothesis preserved. Well, Counsel, what is the defense's official position on the matter? Tear it to shreds. My job is to prove he's innocent. My job is not to prove that this machine works. What Professor Hairbrain, my client, actually asked of me was to prove that the explosion on stage was an accident and protect the secrecy of his hypothesis, but there's no way to do that without implying the Professor's guilt. Do I protect my client's life by asserting his innocence, or do I hold my client's request but see him condemned? Either way, I can't avoid betraying his trust. The first option is not even kind of close. You've been... Okay, so the thing is, even if he gets, like, super mega mad at me for doing this, it really doesn't matter, because we will have saved his life. So it's like, it's kind of like a thing where it's like... So for instance, if, let's say there's a guy who's dangling from a tree, and he's about to fall into a pit of crocodiles, right? So, like, if you leap across the pit of crocodiles and catch him as he's about to fall, and you tackle him to save his life, even if that man yells at you, like, what are you doing? I wanted to befriend the crocodiles. They were my friends down there. Like, no matter what he says, it doesn't really matter because you saved his life. So I would sleep happily at night knowing that what I did kept another human being on this planet alive. So I don't really care if Hairbrain doesn't like me after I prove he's innocent, because I will have proved he's innocent. I don't really care what happens after that. Because that's my whole job here.
Or has all knowledge of English escaped your confused Nipponese mind?
Mr. Naruhodo, there's no escape, you'll have to make a choice, but it's an impossible one. I have to give up on something, but what? The defense asserts the defendant's instantaneous kinesis machine was in fact a conjuring trick. Ah!
Does my choice not matter?
No! I can't say it! My client places faith in me, I can't just let him down.
What? What can I protect? What are we talking about? What?
Susato! Where did you come from? What? Did you just teleport into the scene? What? Okay, I mean, that's fine by me. No complaints here. Sure, okay. I called it, by the way. I called it. Freaking called it. Iris went to the train station, or not the train station. She went to the dock and picked up Susato on her trip back from Japan. I called it. I freaking called it. She's back. She's actually back. Look, I know we just spent the whole last case with her and all that, but she's actually back now. She came back from Japan. She's home. I mean, she's not home. You know what I mean. She's back home with us, with the family of Shomes and Iris and us. She's back. The whole family's back together again. And damn, did you show up at a perfect time. Jesus Christ. Susato-san! But what are you... Really? Really? That's how you reunite! I first Susato did that in 6 months. Really? This is how you... We spend 6 months apart and now you just instantly throw me to the ground? Really? Come on now. There'll be time to talk later, Mr. Naruhodo. For now, we must concentrate on the task at hand. What task? Flipping me over and trying to kill me? Which is working out not what I have to give up on, but what I can protect. Professor Hairbrain! Yes? Yesterday you told me that science is the pursuit of truth. Well, my job is to pursue the truth too. Yes, of course. And personally, I believe that you didn't stab Mr. Assman. I think you've come to realize something yourself too, haven't you? That your experiment and the machine you built with the victim are questionable. The truth behind them is what we must both pursue now! And that's yet another hour out of a janitor's life.
So you finally opened your eyes.
What?
And as for you, Albert, you can't ignore this. Having heard my learned friend's assertion, don't you have something to say?
I like how we're just, like, no one questioned that she's just here now. She just teleported into the scene and she's just here. Which is fine, it's awesome that she's back. I did not expect that this soon. Lord Van Zeeks. Oh my god, she's back. Gosh, I've never heard him speak that way before. In truth, there is one thing. Something I remembered that is of relevance. What? On the day it happened, just before I began the experiment, I saw a man near the stage. A man holding that crossbow. I beg your pardon.
Yep, he knows.
Now we're getting somewhere. Professor, did the man have any distinguishing features? What did he look like? Taller than me, and thinner than me, with straight hair and wider than mine. Let me see, one less lens than me too, a monocle, a rather stylish black monocle. Well, one thing in particular will help to positively identify the man. You see, I know him very well. After all, he's the engineer who built my invention. Maybe you should have opened with that.
What? He built the machine? Well, I mean, I would have assumed that makes sense since, you know, he would have been the one who wanted the trick to work.
Mr. Assman introduced him to me a year ago. He's a man by the name of
Enosh Drebber.
Enosh Drebber?
Am I supposed to know that name? Does that mean something? Members of the jury seem flustered.
Not a name any scientist wishes to hear. A man's an abomination. Not a name any conjurer wishes to hear either.
Who on earth is he?
I'm afraid this isn't the first tale of this nature that I have heard in the scientific circles connection with that name. There's talk of other flamboyant experiments that turn out to mean nothing but stage trickery in the end. Obviously, this rascal is after the government's research grant money. When magicians are in need of money, I have heard of them resorting to these underhanded tactics. Some acquaintances of mine with experience of such things have mentioned Enoch Drebber's name before. The man is both an engineer and a magician. Yes, we're dealing with an unparalleled confidence trickster here. That's Enoch Drebber for you.
Wow, okay. This is taking a turn. Kind of. Still shuffling cards back there, are we? The only thing the screen is moving is this card shuffling.
So it's true then. My invention, my great machine, was just a grand illusion? Considering what we've just heard about Mr. Drebber's character, I'm sorry to say that sounds increasingly likely. Even though no one else believed it, I wanted to. I wanted to believe the machine would function exactly as my hypothesis predicted.
Which is why you were so opposed to it being investigated, I presume.
I knew that if the machine was examined in detail, its construction would give away my hypothesis. Obviously, I didn't want that to happen, but at the same time, I knew that if it was found to be nothing more than a trick, then a work of deception, then everything I'd worked toward, all my research, all my dreams, my whole life would be over. Aww. I was terrified of the prospect.
So you really had no idea then, did you? About the true nature of the machine that was built, and the true nature of Mr. Drebber.
I never questioned anything. I didn't want to question it. It's entirely possible that Mr. Assman and Mr. Drebber were working together to use you as a means of fraudulently acquiring the research grant money. When I announced my invention to the crowds that day, it was the finest moment of my career. I pulled all the levers and turned all the dials in exactly the way that Drebber had described. When the smoke suddenly started billowing out, I panicked. I didn't know what was happening. But I really don't know how the whole illusion was made to work. I don't know anything more.
Aww. Yeah, honestly, I thought that the guy was just, like, absolutely delusional, but he just really, like, because if it was him that was the mastermind, then obviously he would have just been so delusional that he just valued the integrity of the machine above all else, but no, he just wanted to believe that it wasn't all a lie. You know, I kind of, after the last case, I kind of forgot what it was like to play a case that actually can kind of tug on your heartstrings a little bit.
Let me confirm one final point with you, Professor. Do you now consent to the prosecution submitting the necessary paperwork to release your invention from the protection afforded by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act?
Yes, please go ahead. I'm very sorry. It's not your fault.
Well, I mean, it kind of is, but it's not majorly your fault. Well, I mean, it kind of is. Whatever. Anyway, point being, it's fine. We made it work. Here that we shall have to suspend proceedings for the remainder of the day now. Lord Van Zeeks.
My lord.
The court has newly been made aware of another party whose involvement in this matter is critical.
Yes, Mr. Drebber.
Gather information about the man. If possible, I should like him served with a subpoena.
With pleasure, my lord.
Now, counsel for the defense.
Yes, my lord.
When we reconvene, I shall be looking for one thing and one thing alone from you. Evidence that the defendant is innocent of the crime for which he personally stands accused. I understand. Good. In that case, this court is adjourned until tomorrow morning. And that's it then? Or are we gonna have an after scene? Okay, we're gonna have an after scene. Okay. Wow, that was phenomenal. That was fantastic. Oh my god. Okay, I'll save my thoughts until the to be continued screen pops up. That was incredible.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trust me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry.
Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing?
Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it.
Alright, in that case I won't say any more. Now, sadly the murder accusation against you still stands, so we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow.
Well, thank you for doing so much for me.
My pleasure, buddy. I mean, maybe not buddy, that might be a little presumptuous, but Susano's here! Oh my god, she's back! I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm arriving late? Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive. Postcard? What postcard? Did Sholmes screw up again?
I hate it for you, Runo, so it'd be a surprise.
I told you I called it.
Well, did it work?
I was surprised, alright. Especially when she threw me to the ground. Yeah, it's like, hey there, old buddy, old pal. I haven't seen you in literally half a year. Like, let me just yeet you to the ground real quick, you know, just like best friends do.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again that it sort of slipped out.
Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in the future. Yeah, ones that don't involve physical pain.
Susie's training was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial.
That's a little cruel, but okay.
I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Oh!
Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So I'm, delighted to see you back in London.
Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here.
Literally the best character. I hope I can continue to be of service to you. Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotaba not protest?
Let's save all the conversation when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful! I can't wait!
I'm just smiling ear to ear right now. Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. Holy hell! That was incredible. I left with no words and yet so much to say. That was fantastic. That was easily the best trial section throughout the entire duology we've seen. Well, okay, that might be a stretch. Throughout the entire game so far, I say that's about the best trial section we've had. There's the emotional reveals with Hairbrain, the logical deductions, the big bombshell drop of Susato coming back. Just, oh my god, it's so good to be back. Because honestly, I was a little worried there for a while. Case 2 was kind of crap. It was kind of, I'll say, it was crap. But, so I was kind of worried about the state of affairs moving forward. But, man, oh man, is it good to be back. It is so nice to be back in that proper swing of what makes Ace Attorney so phenomenal. The ingenious plot twists, the eureka moments, the memorable characters that you love with all your heart, and those really emotional. I mean, that wasn't like I wasn't tearing up with all that with Hairbrain, but still tugging my heartstrings a little bit. It's so good to be back, and this is the halfway point of the case. There's still more to uncover. We're still not done yet, apparently. So I don't know what's coming up next, but I'm down for it. All right. So that'll do it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. I hope to catch you all tomorrow for some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Goodbye.